Chen Yun traveled through the world of Marvel and gained the ability of divine perception by signing in at the beginning. The beautiful roommate who shared the apartment was a genius hacker and was noticed by the Divine Shield Bureau. Chen Yun's various abilities were also exposed, and he successfully became a superhero. I originally wanted to be a superhero and just hang out. Until that day, my powers were out of control and I almost blew up the entire Earth. Main characters: Chen Yun, Zhao Shiran. Keywords of the novel: Man in Marvel. Divine level perception of opening sign in without pop-ups, Man in Marvel. Divine level perception of opening sign in. Download the full text, Man in Marvel. Divine level perception of opening sign in. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Crossing into the Marvel World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. System. The first thing I do every day with my eyes open. Chen Yun would silently recite a sentence from the bottom of his heart. Fantasizing that a certain ding sound suddenly rang out in my mind. There's no way, who let him cross into such a dangerous world? Chen Yun is a traveler who has been traveling for a full 3 years. He has become a native Chinese and is still a high school student. After drinking a little wine, Chen Yun traveled to the beautiful country of all evil. Although it was a bit uncomfortable, he still endured it. But as he delved deeper into his understanding, he was shocked to find that he had actually traveled into Marvel's world. The beautiful country is truly a beautiful country, and their news is very free. Just from the few words disclosed in the news, various malicious terrorists fill every lens of the news. In the camera, there are only scenes of them being arrested or killed. But behind the camera, the scene of being either frozen or engulfed by flames, made the sharp Chen Yun suspicious. As an ordinary person with limited information, he cannot confirm the authenticity of these things. Until he saw the famous playboy, Mr. Tony Stark, in the newspaper. News that previously only revealed fragmented information was instantly connected by Chen Yun. Mutants, aliens, Avengers. The poor rely on mutation, while the rich rely on technology. He has traveled to the Marvel world. Ever since he found out that he had crossed into such a dangerous world, Chen Yun's whole body had split apart. This is not the quiet and peaceful world before crossing over, here. The strong can easily destroy a city, while the weak deserve to be bullied. And most importantly, after 3 years of travel, Chen Yun surprisingly has no system. After confirming that he had traveled to the Marvel world, Chen Yun, who had read multiple novels by Lu, became familiar with them. I thought I would definitely be like other travelers, with my own system. Not to say it's destroying the sky and earth, but it can also protect itself without worries. What is the result? For 3 whole years, the familiar ding sound never sounded. Chen Yun suspects that he is simply a fake traveler. No system, no mutant. In this Marvel world full of crises, there is no guarantee of survival at all. He can only live cautiously, going to and from school step by step at 2 o'clock every day. Afraid of encountering unexpected disasters one day. After waiting in bed for half a day, it was still a day without a system. Chen Yun sighed and got up to start washing up every day. Looking at himself in the mirror, Chen Yun's lost heart still received a hint of comfort. In the mirror, Chen Yun's figure is tall and symmetrical, with a straight nose and a gentle and charming smile. He is a standard Asian handsome guy. If the T-dot shirt is replaced with a suit and shirt, it is definitely the image of a wealthy young man who emerged from the TV drama. With his sunny and handsome image, he has many female fans in school. This is also the only thing that satisfies Chen Yun after crossing the river. After washing up and looking at the time, Chen Yun dared not neglect. He finished his simple breakfast in just a few bites. Today is the day for the school test. If he is late, the professor will definitely kill him. Hi. Dear Yun. Good morning. Hello, Peggy. After greeting the beautiful neighbor who shared the apartment, Chen Yun hurriedly left the door despite the other person's enthusiasm to persuade him to stay. Hurry, finally entering the classroom at the moment when the bell rang. Seeing Chen Yun pressing the bell before running into the classroom, the stern and serious professor's face immediately became dissatisfied. He coughed and then reached out to the closest position to the podium. "Chen, you're sitting here today to test." "Ah." Chen Yun was also foolish and quickly waved his hand to refuse. "Are you joking? In order to maintain good grades, I want to get a scholarship." Most of his test questions were copied. And the academic genius who Chen Yun copied the answer is naturally also an acquaintance he discovered. At the same time, it can also remind him that this is an acquaintance of Marvel World, which is full of crises. The little spider of the future, Peter Parker. The professor has long suspected Chen Yun of his high grades, often being late and leaving early, and not completing his homework. It doesn't seem like it can score high. Despite Chen Yun's opposition, the professor sternly instructed him to sit in front of him. After giving a few simple instructions, the professor announced the start of the exam. Seeing the professor's resolute attitude, Chen Yun had no choice. Give Peter a mournful look as he casts an helpless gaze. Chen Yun can only focus on the exam. The exam paper was distributed, and Chen Yun picked up his pen and prepared to answer. Although not a genius, Chen Yun is naturally not a fool either. He answered more than half correctly, and he is still quite confident. As usual, Chen Yun picked up the test paper and read through the questions from beginning to end, preparing to start with a simple answer. But after he finished reading it, he was completely bewildered. What are these all about? Chen Yun, who is usually too lazy to read, is foolish. Holding a test paper, he doubts whether he has traveled through time again. Because he knows every word of the test question on the paper. But when these words were combined into a test question, Chen Yun never saw a single one. After sitting in a wax-like state for a while, Chen Yun couldn't help but look at the exam questions in his hand that looked like heavenly books. Seeing that the professor didn't focus his gaze on himself, he secretly looked around. At first glance, he almost didn't startle his chin. Those students who usually complain about exams are all burying their heads in answering questions. No one is looking around, as if everyone knows the answers to these questions. "Chen, please don't look around." In a daze, the professor's cold words came from ahead. Awkwardly smiling at the professor, Chen Yun quickly lowered his head and looked at the exam paper again. Isn't it all just a random selection? Chen Yun, who refocused his energy on the exam paper, racked his brains but couldn't even solve a multiple-choice question. He threw down his pen with a dejected expression, lost in thought in his heart. I wanted to find another academic genius to copy some answers, but the professor on the podium still stared at me, which made Chen Yun dare not take any action. Choose C if everything is indecisive. After 2 minutes of eye-to-eye contact with the professor, Chen Yun had no choice but to grit his teeth in his heart. Just as he picked up the pen and was about to write down that C, a mechanical sound suddenly came to Chen Yun's mind. Ding, detected host, check.in system is starting. The check.in system started successfully, automatically checking in. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining divine level perception ability. The divine level perception ability is currently being distributed, ability distribution successful, please use it on your own. A series of mechanical sounds in his mind immediately made Chen Yun ecstatic. System. I actually have a system. Before Chen Yun could react, he felt a surge of heat pouring into his body. I was about to write down the tip of option C with a pen, but it couldn't fall down anymore. At the same time, a feeling of nausea is sweeping through the whole body. What's going on here? With confusion, Chen Yun stopped moving. Chapter 2. Chen is not a cheater, he is a genius. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What exactly is going on? Chen Yun looked at the exam paper in confusion. Attempt to move the pen again onto the test paper while hovering over option C. That feeling of nausea has reappeared. Although it's mild, Chen Yun can clearly feel the discomfort in his body. What are you doing? Why haven't you written the answer yet? The exam has started for 5 minutes, and Chen Yun is still in a daze. This caught the professor's attention, and he looked at Chen Yun with displeasure. As a Chinese American whom the professor dislikes, Chen Yun has always been vaguely targeted by the professor. But this time, it was different from usual. The professor who thought he had caught Chen Yun cheating became more stern in his tone. Chen, I hope you can do the problem quickly. If you don't start writing yet, don't blame me for driving you out. Ah. Sorry professor, I haven't chosen this question yet. Seeing the professor angry and afraid that the scholarship would be ruined, Chen Yun quickly began to answer the questions. I wanted to randomly choose an answer first, but that disgusting and nauseating feeling always surrounded him. Holding the pen, Chen Yun was sweating profusely in a hurry, ready to start writing recklessly first. Just as his pen was about to fall on the exam paper, suddenly, a lightning bolt flashed through his mind. He remembered the divine level perception ability he had just acquired. Choosing C will cause nausea, so what about choosing B? Chen Yun tried to transfer the pen tip directly above option B, but the uncomfortable feeling still followed him. Then let's look at option A again. Suppressing discomfort, Chen Yun slowly moved the pen in his hand on the test paper. When the pen tip stays at option A, the body seems to be swept by a refreshing breeze. All the uncomfortable feelings were instantly swept away. It really works. Chen Yun's eyes lit up as he was about to pick up his pen and write down the answer. There is an extra big hand on the table in front of him. Bang! At some point, the professor appeared in front of Chen Yun's desk with a gloomy face. With a fierce slap on the table, the professor's gaze darkened as he scanned the blank test paper in front of Chen Yun. I can't even make such a simple test paper. Get out of here. The professor's anger was just starting to ignite when he was suddenly drawn to the exam paper in front of him. If lim x2 x k5, then k. This question. Looking at Chen Yun's exam paper, the professor's eyes showed a hint of confusion. Isn't this the exam paper I usually use for practice? How could it appear here? After discovering the problem, the professor did not continue to scold Chen Yun. He stood beside Chen Yun and carefully observed, confirming that this was the exam paper for his doctoral degree practice. With a gloomy face, he returned to the podium and indeed found the paper that Chen Yun was supposed to answer on the podium. Chen Yun couldn't answer for a long time, and it was not his own fault, which made the professor very angry. He secretly decided to change the exam paper later. If Chen Yun still can't answer, he will definitely get out of the classroom. The professor turned around with a gloomy expression, ready to change Chen Yun's test paper. Before the words could be spoken, the professor saw Chen Yun, who was writing fiercely. What is he doing? Surprisingly, my exam paper was graffiti by a student who didn't know how to do it. I was outraged by the professor who was already biased against Chen Yun. He angrily strode over to Chen Yun and reached out to pull out the exam paper that Chen Yun was answering. Oh my goodness! But just as the professor's hand was about to fall on the test paper, he froze in shock as if he had discovered something. Chen Yun doesn't know what the problem is with the test paper in his hand. Based on the professor's words just now, Chen Yun knows that if he doesn't answer the questions again, he doesn't have to think too much about how much his grade will be in this course. He slowly moved his pen above the 4 options based on his divine level sensing ability. When the uncomfortable feeling of nausea disappeared, he made a decisive move and checked the answer. In less than 5 minutes, Chen Yun stopped writing and let out a long breath. He has already answered all the multiple choice and true/false questions on the exam paper in front of him. Oh, buy it! With a soft shout, the professor was stunned and stared at the answer written by Chen Yun without blinking. Yes, 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 still right. How on earth did he do it? Looking at the answers that he still needed to compare with books to come up with, Chen Yun effortlessly wrote them in front of him. The professor feels that there is a problem with his cognition. He looked around in confusion, his mind still filled with emotions. Is this still Midtown High School in Queens? I'm not going the wrong way, am I? Is this MIT? But reality still disappointed the shocked professor. He looked around and finally found that he was still in the high school where he taught. The professor pretended to cough a few times before suppressing his inner shock. Chen, I mixed up the exam paper just now, this is yours. Upon hearing these words, Chen Yun, who had been constantly worried, finally let go of his worries. He just realized that his divine-level sensing ability can only be used to answer multiple choice and true/false questions. His ability to fill in the blank and answer questions is at a loss. Pretending to exchange papers with the professor as if nothing had happened, Chen Yun continued with the previous operation. With the previous experience, Chen Yun's speed in solving problems has become even faster this time. Under the professor's shocked gaze, in less than 3 minutes, the entire exam paper was completed by Chen Yun. The professor, who has never left, has even witnessed the entire process of solving problems. The speed of solving problems like flowing clouds and flowing water makes the professor stand still. Oh my goodness, you can choose the right answer with just one glance at the question. Chen is not a cheater. He is a genius. At this moment, a hint of guilt flashed in the heart of the professor who had previously discriminated against Chen Yunhua's identity as an American. Wow, luckily this exam paper doesn't have any fill-in-the-blanks or Q&A questions. After finishing the question, Chen Yun reached out and wiped the cold sweat off his head. He quietly glanced at the professor beside him, only to find that the professor was just staring blankly at him. Shouldn't there be any problem, right? Chen Yun was a bit careful to think that he had no choice but to pursue a scholarship. Studying in a beautiful country, the tuition fees are really too high. Seeing that the professor remained silent, Chen Yun finally calmed down. He leaned leisurely on the seat, having already finished the exam, and with great interest, he scanned the classmates around him who were still writing hard. Suddenly, his gaze was drawn to someone, and a wicked smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He didn't speak either, just stared at the person tightly with his eyes. The professor's attention has actually been on Chen Yun all along, seeing him staring in a certain direction. The professor also instinctively glanced at it. Norton. What are you doing? With just one glance, the professor's anger couldn't be suppressed. The boy named Norton, while the professor's attention was focused on Chen Yun, was blatantly plagiarizing his neighbor's exam paper. When the professor roared, his buttocks were still hanging in mid-air, twisting his body to plagiarize. Your grades have been invalidated. And call your parents over tomorrow. Looking at the torn exam papers by the professor and the results of his parents, Norton's heart was cold. Looking around, I saw Chen Yun smiling at me. Damn it, it must be Chen Yun, this bastard, who told the secret. In an instant, Norton understood the details of the matter. He looked at Chen Yun with a fierce expression. Slowly, I made a scratch on my throat with my hand. Chapter 3. This is also too cool. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chen Yunzhen had never taken the threat of Norton's arch-rival to heart. Still following the routine in class, while secretly researching the divine-level perception ability obtained through the system. Time flies by, just after the lunch break. The professor with a frosty face walked into the classroom with a stack of test papers. You are all a bunch of trash. Damn it, you should open your brains and see if there's anything inside. Watching the professor roaring on the podium like a hairdryer, Chen Yun also felt a little emotional. Who said that beautiful country is not interested in learning? They should really come and see the current situation. Jordan, 73 points. James. Damn it, you only have 29 points. Angry, the professor slammed the exam paper onto James's awkwardly faced head, and his face changed, becoming normal. Peter Parker. 96 points. Chen Yun. Full marks. He kindly handed the test paper to Peter Parker and Chen Yun, and the professor began to roar again. Don't think about learning from the two of them, they are real geniuses. And you are just a bunch of dog poop. After throwing down a few words, the professor left angrily, leaving only the students lamenting over the exam papers. Chen, you actually got a perfect score. How did you do it? Wow. Is this your true strength? As soon as the professor left, Marvel was really talking, and Peter Parker, the talkative little spider, posted it up. In the eyes of others, Chen Yun has always been a top student, and it's not surprising that he got a perfect score. But for Peter, who helps Chen Yun cheat on a daily basis, a perfect score almost surprised his chin. You should know that even as a genius in the eyes of ordinary people, he only scored 96 points. After chattering for a while, Peter finally reluctantly returned to his seat at the beginning of the next class. In the blink of an eye, it was time for school to end. As soon as Chen Yun left the classroom, he was stopped by Peter, who came from behind. Chen, it's not good. I heard Norton is going to trouble you after school. Peter had a worried expression on his face and kept talking incessantly. He found many people. You better run through the back door of the school quickly. Upon hearing Peter's concern, Chen Yun smiled confidently and said, Norton. Will I be afraid of him? As he spoke, Chen Yun opened his storage cabinet, and a large stack of letters also fell to the ground as the cabinet opened. Damn it, I forgot. You are also a top student at Zhongqing High School. The old you. Peter still had to speak, but when he saw the large pile of pink letters, he became nervous. Never have it, never have it. Silently praying in his heart, Peter's gaze was fixed on the name of the sender of the letter. After a while, I finally let out a long breath. No James, that's great. Nothing. As usual, throwing all the love letters into the trash can, Chen Yun heard Peter muttering. No, it's nothing. Glancing at Peter, who desperately denied it, Chen Yun smiled and shook his head. The two of them were communicating with each other and walking outward. As soon as they reached a corner, two beautiful women walked towards them. Hi Chen. Seeing Chen Yun, the beautiful woman's originally cold and beautiful face instantly changed. Blooming with a sweet smile that is enough to melt the iceberg. Hi, Gwen. Hi, Jane. Chen Yun's polite response was that these two beauties also have a lot of background. Both are important female leads in Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane. Chen, there is an academic seminar this Saturday. Are you going to attend? Gwen warmly invited Chen Yun. The location is at the Osborne Group headquarters, where I will intern. After speaking for a moment, she continued with a slight blush on her face, after attending the seminar, maybe we can find a place to have a drink. Do you want to drink before you're even 20? Have you forgotten your father's identity as the police chief? Chen Yun shook his head, but as if he had thought of something, he spoke up and said, I won't go, but Peter is very interested in these and can let him participate. Ah. Me. Since the two girls appeared, Peter's face has turned red and he has been frozen in place. I. Suddenly hearing his own name, he, who was still talkative, immediately became stuttering. Chen Yun refused, causing Gwen's heart to feel a bit disappointed. But she quickly calmed down and enthusiastically said to Peter, Peter, are you going? By the way, I forgot to tell you, Jane is going too. Upon hearing Mary Jane go, Peter suddenly snapped up and said, I'll go. I'll definitely go. After agreeing a time with Peter, Gwen turned his gaze to Chen Yun and said goodbye with a smile, Chen, why don't we schedule another time? Definitely next time. After bidding farewell to Gu Wenwen, Chen Yun silently pulled Peter, who was still enjoying himself in the same place. What else are you looking at? They've all left. Chen, You don't understand. You really don't understand, because you're so handsome. So sunny. Stop. Quickly shut up, I don't want to discuss these with you. Quickly covering Peter's mouth, which was getting more and more outrageous, Chen Yun asked with a mischievous smile, Gwen and Jane, which one do you like? I like Jane. What? The sound is too low, I didn't hear it. Damn it, you're teasing me. Ha ha ha. Chen Yun and Peter were playing around when a malicious voice suddenly rang out from behind. Chen Yun, you're done this time. Looking back, it was Norton with a proud expression on his face. By his side, there were still 5 or 6 boys with muscles all over their bodies standing. You dared to talk to Gwen just now, didn't I warn you? Norton's face was ugly, and he roared with a fierce expression. I don't need to ask anyone who I want to talk to. Chen Yun doesn't want to say a word more about Norton, who feels good about himself. You want to die. The anger caused by Chen Yun's report of cheating in exams, coupled with the current disregard. Norton felt like he couldn't bear it anymore. Give it to me. As a fierce opponent and to respect Chen Yun's past achievements, Norton directly approached the black and hard of the 5 school basketball teams this time. These 5 are black and hard, taking Norton's money, while their opponents are just weak Chinese Americans in their eyes. Upon hearing the command, they all rushed over with grim smiles. Damn it, Chen, run quickly. The 5 black and hard charging postures are truly frightening. Peter, who had not yet turned into Spider-Man, was clearly frightened and his face turned pale. But for the sake of Chen Yun as a friend, he still stood by Chen Yun's side in 2 fierce battles. Don't worry, it's up to me. Although Peter was afraid, the resolute way he stood by his side moved Chen Yun's heart. However, the trouble he caused naturally did not want to involve his friends. He smiled and walked out from Peter's side. He walked straight towards the rushing black and hard. Divine level perception, activate. In the eyes of others, Chen Yun shuttles through the 5 black and hard spaces like a leisurely stroll. Every punch swung by the opponent was easily flashed by Chen Yun. And every time he made a mistake, he casually hit each black and hard body. Accompanied by muffled groans and howls. In no time, everyone lay on the ground. Only shocked Peter and Norton remained standing. Oh my goodness, Chen. How strong. Is this kung fu? This is too cool. Peter rushed to Chen Yun's side at the first moment and started talking nonsense to him. And Norton looked at Chen Yun with an incredulous expression on his face. Seeing Chen Yun slowly walking towards him with a smile on his face, Norton covered his face with despair. He vaguely felt that his domineering self in school should have kicked the iron plate this time. Chapter 4. Requests from Beautiful Neighbors. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What are you doing? Chen Yun's terrifying strength directly caused Norton to break through his defense, and his fierce and evil spirit had long disappeared from sight when he arrived. His face was full of fear, and his body kept retreating. I apologize. I hold you very much. Ah. Before he could finish speaking, Chen Yun lifted his foot and kicked him to the ground. Just as he let out a scream, Norton's throat was tightly gripped by Chen Yun's hand. Squinting his eyes slightly, Chen Yun coldly stared at Norton, who was in great pain, and said, I don't want your face to appear in my sight again in the future. Norton, who was choked on his neck and had a sore nose and tears streaming down his face, couldn't speak at all. But under the deadly threat of Chen Yun, Norton could only hold back the pain and nodded desperately. Get lost. Chen Yun also lost interest in this kind of trash that only deserves to dominate in school. He let go and stood up. Norton, as granted amnesty, immediately got up from the ground and ran quickly towards the distance, even ignoring the few black and hard ones still lying on the ground. I just ran away, it's like running for my life. The black and hard people who were still groaning in pain on the ground dared not stop, supporting each other and quickly leaving the malevolent star Chen Yun. As he watched the group of people leave, Chen Yun had a playful smile on his lips. Review the battle in your mind and have divine-level perception. Each move of the other party is easily perceived by oneself. There are no flaws at all, with already impressive skills and extraordinary predictive abilities. In this confrontation with ordinary people, it's like an omniscient and omnipotent God. I finally have some self-protection ability in this dangerous world. This intuitive increase in strength has made Chen Yun very satisfied. After a few perfunctory sentences and still asking non-stop questions, Peter, like a curious baby, returned home as usual. Chen, don't forget your promise. As soon as he got home, Chen Yun saw the sticky notes on the fridge. Looking at the drawing behind the text epsilon, Chen Yun burst out laughing in silence. Shaking his head, Chen Yun took out the pre-marinated pork ribs from the refrigerator. This is a Chinese delicacy that I promised to make yesterday for my beautiful neighbor. Braised pork ribs. Skilled in cooking oil, put the marinated pork ribs into the pot. Fry until both sides turn golden brown, then add water and simmer. When it was almost time, I sprinkled some fragrant scallions into the pot to season it, and finally poured some cooking wine. After working hard for over half an hour, Chen Yun was satisfied to smell the rich meat aroma wafting in the kitchen. He was in a good mood and couldn't help but hum a song. Zhao Shiran, what you want to eat? Arriving at the neighbor's house, Chen Yun twisted the open door handle. As soon as he opened the door, Chen Yun was dumbfounded. The beautiful neighbor was inside the house, leisurely wiping her wet hair. But what made Chen Yun's heart beat faster was that this neighbor was completely naked. The pure white and jade-like delicate body lay so wide before Chen Yun's eyes. Although the door was quickly closed, Chen Yun's heart still couldn't calm down for a long time. After sitting awkwardly on the sofa for a while, Zhao Shiran also walked out of the room. Zhao Shiran, wearing a loose T-shirt alone, sat beside Chen Yun with a relaxed expression. There was no awkwardness on Chen Yun's face as he was completely exposed. After all, in a situation where two people share a room and there is only one bathroom, what happened earlier was just too frequent. However, what Chen Yun did not notice was that Zhao Shiran's two delicate ears had already turned red. Hi, Chen Yun. As soon as I left, I smelled the fragrance. As soon as Zhao Shiran sat down on the sofa, she was attracted by the fragrance lingering in her nose. Following the scent, she walked happily to the dining table. With delicate hands, she twisted a burnt red pork rib and put it into her small mouth smeared with light pink lipstick. At the entrance of the pork ribs, Zhao Shiran's eyes lit up. It's so fragrant. Thank you to our motherland for inventing such delicious food. Not long after, Zhao Shiran finished half of the braised pork ribs. Zhao Shiran, who saw that his labor was about to be devoured by greed, had to take it alone. Chen Yun also let go of his embarrassment and quickly joined the food grab operation. As a poor student, being able to rent a house in a beautiful and evil country. Who would care if it's a shared apartment? Chen Yun, are you free tonight? During the meal, Zhao Shiran immediately thought of something and said with a hint of anticipation on her face. You should know, I've been looking for news about my parents. Did you find the message? Chen Yun stopped his chopsticks and asked. Having shared the apartment with Zhao Shiran for so long, he had already learned about the past of this beautiful neighbor. Zhao Shiran, like herself, is from China. Meanwhile, although born in a beautiful country, she is an orphan who has been striving to find her parents for years. I contacted the Rising Tide organization. Zhao Shiran sighed and then said, I have found their contact point and want to try my luck there. It is said that this organization has vast resources and is composed of people who are proficient in hacking technology. Maybe they will find a way to find my parents. Rising Tide Organization. Upon hearing this slightly familiar name, Chen Yun pondered. Quickly, he found the name in his memory. A mysterious organization that has not appeared in the TV series Shendon Bureau. It is a hacker organization that claims to expose evil and crack down on crime. These guys who gather together in the dark either want to rebel or have other thoughts. Thinking about coming into contact with this group of people who only dare to hide their heads and tails in the darkness, Qin Yun's brow furrowed. He said with a hint of concern, "It's a bit dangerous. So I asked if you have time." Zhao Shiran, with a pleasing expression on her face, picked up Qin Yun's shoulder and coquettishly said, "Come with me, my Mr. Qin. I'm not wearing any underwear again." Feeling the softness of his arms and looking at his unsuspecting beautiful neighbor, Qin Yun's heart was speechless. But considering the hardships that Zhao Shiran, who is also of Chinese descent, has experienced in search of her biological parents in this country where discrimination is prevalent, he still decided to help this beautiful neighbor. "Okay, who makes us neighbors?" "Yeah." Seeing Qin Yun's agreement, Zhao Shiran jumped up with joy. Even took advantage of Qin Yun's lack of attention and gave him a sudden kiss on the cheek. Touching the warm lips on his face, Qin Yun only felt a bit of pressure in his heart. Because there was still business to attend to later, neither of them continued their previous fight. After packing up, Zhao Shiran drove his second-hand beetle and set off with Qin Yun from home. It was also on the way that Qin Yun learned from Zhao Shiran the location of the flood organization. Dad's Bar. Just mentioning the name may make people think it's just an ordinary unknown bar. But if we add the previous location, it will definitely make every New Yorker scared. Because even in New York, the world's most developed economic center, some places are not something that ordinary people dare to venture into. For example, the place where Qin Yun and the others are going next. Hell's Kitchen. Chapter 5. Mysterious Tide Organization. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hell's Kitchen. From the map, this is just an ordinary street in New York City. Although there are only 8 streets, this is the holy land of the underworld in the entire beautiful country. And, in the true sense, it is the most dangerous place of sin. A gangster carrying loose cargo at the intersection, and a pimp pulling people on the other side. They are still just the lowest level criminals in the hellish kitchen. The deeper sins here cannot even compare to 10 Satans. As she gradually approached the hellish kitchen, Zhao Shiran, who had been humming along with the music in the car, gradually closed her mouth. With tense eyes, I looked at every intersection the car passed by, fearing that someone with a weapon might suddenly emerge from somewhere. Don't be nervous, we're just passing by. Looking at Zhao Shiran, who was nervous, Qin Yun couldn't help but laugh. Having divine level perception, in the dark places of Hell's Kitchen where there are no supernatural beings. Qin Yun's expression was relaxed, and he even looked around with interest at scenes that were not usually seen. However, the Long Tide organization will establish a base in this infamous place. It still exceeded Qin Yun's expectations, and at the same time, it also added a hint of vigilance to his heart. It scared me to death. Feeling anxious, Zhao Shiran parked the car at the entrance of Dad's Bar and let out a sigh of relief. After patting the little bear with full capital on his chest, Zhao Shiran smiled and said, "You can relax now. I checked it on the computer. The bar is relatively safe in the Hell Kitchen. We're all in the kitchen of hell. Is there still a safe place?" Qin Yun resists roast and follows Zhao Shiran into the bar. Just entered the bar, Qin Yun, with a tall and handsome figure, and Zhao Shiran, with a graceful and sweet appearance. It caught the attention of almost everyone in the bar. "Chen, how do I feel like there are many people watching us?" Sensing being watched, Zhao Shiran quickly hid behind Qin Yun. With delicate hands holding onto Qin Yun's hem, her pretty face was also full of tension. "Don't be afraid, maybe we don't fit in with them." Glancing at the ordinary clothes on his body, he compared them to the excited people around him who were dressed in strange clothes. Qin Yun also figured out the situation, and in such a dangerous bar, the two of them were indeed a bit eye-catching. That's right, you're like huskies mixed up in a pack of wolves. As long as you're a regular, you know it's your first time here. In the corner, a man's voice could be heard. Chen Yun frowned and looked at a man leaning against a pillar in the bar, looking at him with a smile on his face. Welcome to the Rising Tide, I am Kevin. After looking around for a while, Kevin extended his hand to Chen Yun. You must be the person who wants to contact us, right? Sorry, it's not that I'm looking for you. Chen Yun shrugged his shoulders and stepped aside, revealing Zhao Shiran, who had been hiding behind him since entering the bar. Oh. Surprisingly, this beautiful lady is looking for us. His gaze wandered vaguely around Zhao Shiran, and Kevin, who had just been excited, suddenly closed his mouth. Obviously, they recognized Zhao Shiran's Chinese identity. It wasn't until they were led into an empty corner that Kevin's face regained its smile. Welcome the beautiful Ms. Zhao Shiran to join our sacred organization, Rising Tide. The Tide organization is omnipotent. After a brief conversation, I learned the names of Chen Yun and his companions. Kevin, like a missionary, kept praising his organization, but unfortunately, Chen Yun and Zhao Shiran were already sensitive to the discrimination against their Chinese identity by the people in front of them, and were completely unmoved by Kevin's boasting. His gaze skipped Chen Yun, and Kevin's gaze was fixed on Zhao Shiran. Although only wearing simple jeans and T-shirts, it still cannot conceal Zhao Shiran's beautiful appearance and graceful figure. Glancing greedily, Kevin said mysteriously, "Beautiful Zhao, do you know the District 51 that has been hidden by the government and military? By joining us, you can easily obtain this message. In the organization, this is just the lowest level thing we know. Sorry, I'm not interested in these." After overcoming the nervousness of entering the bar for the first time, Zhao Shiran finally calmed down. Kevin's undisguised greed and subtle discrimination towards her immediately caused her to lose her favorable impression of the Rising Tide organization before coming. I just want to know if I can find my biological parents. Hey. 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 This is something that the official is concealing the truth about our situation. Don't you have any curiosity? What about aliens? Aliens who can activate their bloodline power when they reach a certain limit. Speaking of these, Kevin's tone also began to get excited. This is all the government concealing our facts. They don't want us to know. And our Rising Tide organization exists to expose these things. To fight for the protection of all humanity. Puff. A burst of laughter suddenly echoed in the quiet corner, casting a glance at Kevin, who was still in a state of excitement. Chen Yun raised the phone he was holding and said with a smile on his face, "Just now, I roughly checked online. Although we haven't found your company's establishment date, it's at least several years ago. Turn on your phone, and several photos of beautiful women are displayed on the screen. Besides a few scandals about female celebrities, do you have any more explosive disclosures? It's been 20 years. Our sacred organization has been established for 20 years. Glancing awkwardly at Chen Yun, Kevin retorted, "These messages were just voluntarily exposed by the organization to obtain funding. And finding information that has been covered up by the government and military, and saving the world is the true goal of the organization." Chen Yinxin said, "Why is this person's face thicker than Venom Spider-Man?" But on the surface, he still asked with a faint smile, "What news?" "Well, it's those outsiders in District 51. As he spoke, Kevin gradually became angry and embarrassed, his face turning red. Realizing that Chen Yun was teasing him, Kevin stopped caring about him. Just staring at Zhao Shiran with his eyes, he said with a displeased expression, "As long as you join the Rising Tide organization. With just a click of the mouse, you can find information about your parents." Zhao Shiran was about to speak when a few loud noises suddenly came from the doorway. Upon hearing the sound, the faces of the three immediately changed. "It's gunfire. Stop it all for me." Chen Yun quickly looked at the entrance of the bar, and more than 10 black-skinned men with weapons swarmed into the bar. They were ferocious, shouting and pointing guns at everyone dancing wildly on the dance floor. Bang! With a loud bang, the entire bar fell completely silent. Everyone stared dumbfounded at the shattered ceiling above their heads. The night demon has attacked our harbor. When the whole bar was silent, a strong man walked out of the bandits, with thick green smoke emanating from the muzzle of the gun in his hand. He roared with a fierce expression and an ironclad face, "The night demon has taken refuge in this bar. Everyone must undergo inspection." Chapter 6. Gangs disrupt the game, Night Demon Hero appears. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As soon as the strong man finished speaking, the whole bar fell into chaos. With an arrogant expression on his face, the strong man fired several shots at the ceiling. After the smoke dissipated, he grinned and shouted, "Shut your mouth. All stand up obediently." Seeing the frightened expressions on the faces of the people around him, the strong man smiled with satisfaction. Signal to point a gun at the person in the bar and start searching. Wait, this is Daddy's bar. Just as the crowd was panicking, an old man walked out of the corner. With a calm expression on his face, he self-deprecatingly said, "Am I already old? Surprisingly, someone dares to cause trouble in my bar." Seeing the old man, a nervous expression appeared on his face. But considering the losses suffered by the gang, the strong man finally gritted his teeth. Dad's name has always been in the hearts of the people in Hell's Kitchen. I respect you. But our losses this time are really too great. After speaking, the strong man seemed to have thought of something, and his fierce expression on his face converged. "Dad, we'll give you face. But everyone here needs to be searched." The strong man smiled ferociously and pointed out the door with his hand, continuing to say, "Now, go out and undergo our inspection." Seeing the strong man placing the inspection site outside the door of Dad's bar, Dad wanted to continue saying something. But in the end, nothing was said. With a sigh, the old man sat back on the chair dejectedly. Prepare to settle accounts with the gang behind the strong man after the matter is over. Dad, the owner of this bar, has agreed, and the rest of the people are even more afraid to say no to the armed gang. They let the gangsters command them and walked out of the bar one by one, feeling disheartened. But soon, the curses and screams of the woman who had been robbed of valuable items. Let the people who were planning to accept their fate show hesitation on their faces, and their footsteps unconsciously slow down. In the corner. The commotion in the bar. It also made Chen Yun and the others' hearts sink. "Mr. Kevin, isn't it time to save the world now? The gang is already so arrogant, there are already people suffering. Why don't you see people from your Rising Tide organization appear?" Chen Yun has been watching this farce with a cold eye. Glancing at Kevin's sweaty forehead, Chen Yun's expression remained unchanged as he joked and asked, "They are gangsters, and if they provoke them, they will kill. Besides, the organization won't bother with such small matters." After explaining a sentence with a stiff tongue, Kevin ran out of the corner with a panicked expression, ready to undergo a body search. "It seems like I'm afraid I'll suffer if I slow down." Seeing Kevin's appearance, Chen Yun's heart was moved. As one of the strongholds of the Rising Tide organization, there must be many members here, but even a mafia cannot resist it. The quality of this organization is about to be questioned in his heart. "Chen Yun, should we follow out?" Kevin, the local snake, has already run away, undoubtedly making Zhao Shiran, who was already afraid, even more panicked. "This is a gang, you look like this." Glancing up and down at Zhao Shiran, Chen Yun joked, "Isn't it going out to deliver groceries? Moreover, these people usually don't like us yellow race people. If we go out now, it won't be great." Before Chen Yun could finish speaking, he saw Kevin, who had just run out, retreat with a panicked expression. With a shotgun on his head. 3 people hiding in the corner. The leader of the gang who spoke before pointed a gun at Kevin, with a dark face and a grim smile on it. "They have a bit different ideas from yours, Kevin." "Kevin, who had a shotgun on his head, was already scared out of his courage. He desperately explained, "I don't know them. We're just seeing each other for the first time." After speaking, Kevin quickly took off the gold watch from his hand and handed it to the strong man with a seductive expression, attempting to make the strong man quickly let him go. Taking the gold watch, the strong man kicked Kevin in the stomach with a fierce kick and looked disdainfully at Kevin lying on the ground, howling, "Waste." After cooking Kevin, the strong man looked at Chen Yun and the others. His gaze wandered around Chen Yun, and the strong man was immediately attracted by Zhao Shiran. A height of 1.68 meters, with a curvaceous figure outlined by jeans. And the delicate expression on his face due to panic. "Yellow-skinned girl. Hurry up and come over here." The strong man showed a drooling gaze, and as he smirked, a subordinate hurriedly walked up to him. "Boss, someone is not cooperating." Listening to his subordinate's report, the strong man's face suddenly darkened, and he scanned the surroundings with fierce eyes. Suddenly lifting the muzzle, he fired at a black man next to him without any warning. Being hit by a shotgun, the black man flew out horizontally. A large amount of blood gushed out of his mouth in an instant, and he was already dead before he even landed. The strong man roared with a fierce expression at the chaotic people around him, "Night Demon, I know you're here. If I don't come out again, I will continue to kill. You promised not to take action in the bar." The strong man acted recklessly, making the onlooker's father unable to sit still. He quickly stood up to dissuade him. "You can't even touch the people in the store." "Dad, I'm sorry." The strong man looked disdainfully at his elderly father and said, "I've changed my mind. Now, I still need these two people." Pointing at Chen Yun and Zhao Shiran with a gun, the strong man salivated and said, "I want these two yellow people. If I were you, I would put down the gun." Faced with a strong man threatening himself with a gun, Chen Yun no longer endured and stood up. Wrong body blocked Zhao Shiran behind him, and he threatened with a serious expression, "So, maybe you'll die peacefully. Seeking death." Chen Yun's words instantly angered the strong man. He was about to shoot when he heard a scream of surprise coming from behind. "Bree! Put down the gun, or we'll all die together." Accompanied by exclamation, a man wearing a headscarf and a tight leather jacket stumbled towards the center of the bar. At the same time, the man was holding a dagger in his hand, holding a blonde woman hostage. This outfit made Chen Yun recognize the newcomer in an instant. Daredevil Matt Mado. Damn it. With a wary gaze, Bray turned around the woman held by the Night Demon hero and calmly dropped the gun in his hand. Then he ordered, "Put down the gun." The hands brought by Bree looked at each other and could only throw down their guns. The gun of the gang was thrown away, which relieved the Night Demon hero who had been struggling with his injured body. But just as he was about to speak, a member of the gang beside him erupted in anger. Suddenly knocked off the dagger in the hand of the Night Demon hero. "Grab it alive." Bray's face showed a grim smile, and after a loud roar, he was ready to pounce on the Night Demon hero. But just as he was moving, a big hand suddenly grabbed his rushing body. "I said it would make your death more peaceful. In this life, what I hate the most. It's just you dogs, you scumbags. And, racist losers." As soon as Chen Yun finished speaking, his fist also grew bigger and bigger in Bree's eyes. With a bang, Bray's sturdy body flew out sideways. Chapter 7. The Destruction of the Gangs, Dialogue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bray's sturdy body flew horizontally in the air. I followed the ground for several meters before hitting the stone pillar of the bar and stopping. "Let me kill him." Opening his mouth and spitting out a mouthful of blood, Bray roared angrily as soon as the order was given. Members of the gang rushed towards Chen Yun. Faced with the gang, enraged Chen Yun had no intention of stopping. Pushing Zhao Shiran towards the corner, Chen Yun rushed into the center of the bar. With the blessing of divine level induction, everyone's movements were easily captured by him. Easily avoiding every attack, Chen Yun kept greeting the members of the gang with his fists. With each punch, there will be an additional Howling Gang member on the ground. In no time, the ground was covered with people with painful expressions. Be careful. While Chen Yun was killing all directions, the silent night demon suddenly spoke out as a reminder. Taking out the dagger, the night demon hero raised his hand and waved it, shattering the lamp above his head. The whole bar suddenly fell into darkness. Apart from the screams and cries of everyone, the whole bar was in chaos. Suddenly entering the dark environment, Chen Yun calmed down instead. His divine perception was fully open, and he keenly sensed a hint of danger. Turning towards the side and back, I heard a loud bang. A deadly bullet whizzed past Chen Yun's cheek. For a moment, the light emitted by the bullet became the only light source in the bar. Seeking death. The bullet aimed directly at him completely ignited Chen Yun's murderous heart. He moved horizontally, skillfully avoiding every bullet that hit him. At the same time, I will no longer show mercy in my hands. Picking up the dagger of the night demon warrior on the ground, he charged forward. Ah! A mournful scream accompanied by the sound of blood splashing. At the moment when the light shines at the moment of shooting, one can clearly see a high-flying head. Immediately after, with a few screams, several members of the gang collapsed at Chen Yun's feet in an instant. Shoot, shoot quickly. The death of his subordinates made Bray roar with anger, but his voice was particularly prominent in the darkness. Taking a cold glance in the direction of Bray's shouting, Chen Yun sneered. Taking advantage of the chaos on sight, within a few steps, Chen Yun came to Bray's side and the dagger in his hand fiercely pierced Bray's chest. The dagger penetrated deeply into the chest of the mine, bringing out a large mist of blood. Immediately afterwards, he kicked the opponent 3 or 4 meters away. Ah! Bray's voice gradually disappeared in the mournful howls, but this was just the beginning. Chen Yun, like a ghost, rushed into the crowd, quickly solved the minefield, then quickly retreated to the edge of the bar, stood in the shadow, and began harvesting the leaderless gang members. The bar was still chaotic, with panicked screams and cries for help constantly ringing, but Chen Yun turned a deaf ear. When the lights in the bar lit up again, the ground was already covered with corpses of gang members. The whole bar was filled with a nauseating smell of blood. Chen Yun, are you okay? Zhao Shiran ran to Chen Yun with a concerned expression on her face. Are they dead? Looking at the corpse on the ground, Zhao Shiran only felt a pang of nausea. I'm fine. Standing in the center of the bar, Chen Yun took a deep breath. He was shocked to find that although it was his first time killing someone, he did not feel any nervousness or fear, but rather seemed to be fascinated by the smell. Young man, you are very impressive. After evacuating the guests from the bar, Dad walked over to Chen Yun's side. Cloudy eyes stared tightly at Chen Yun, as if they could see through his heart. He had a feeling that this young man he had never seen before. In the future, he will definitely become a ruthless character that makes all the underworld tremble with fear. Where do you come from? Chen Yun, who was so ruthless in his actions, even the old man in the Hell Kitchen, his father, couldn't help but admire him. I am from China, thank you for your protection just now. Chen Yun is also grateful to the old man who dares to speak for himself while holding a gun in the gang. My protection is worthless, and in the end, it was your strength that won this battle. Dad exclaimed in admiration, looked around the bar that had suffered heavy losses, and shook his head with a bitter smile. Come on, young man, I know you have a lot of doubts. Why don't you have a drink with me, an old man? Chen Yun naturally has no objection to the invitation. Holding Zhao Shiran still unconscious, Chen Yun followed his father and the night demon hero to a secret room. Night demon, do you need to treat your wound? After taking a sip of the wine that his father had personally prepared, Chen Yun looked at the night demon hero with some confusion as he was holding on to his wound and enduring the pain. You can call me Matt. With my identity, it's impossible for me to go to the hospital for treatment. With a self-deprecating smile, the night demon Xia explained with an ugly expression, it used to be my father's daughter who helped me with this. Alright, young man, my daughter is already on her way. As he spoke, Dad interjected, this little injury, although a bit troublesome, is not fatal. You must have a lot of doubts, just ask us directly. Well, Matt, did you really break into the territory of those gangs? And even killed someone? My father saw through my thoughts, but Chen Yun didn't feel any shame either. I still openly ask the questions in my heart. After all, this is not a TV drama, but the real world. Although in TV dramas, night magic never kills people, he doesn't naively believe that it's true. Of course I have been to their territory. With a smile, the night demon continued, otherwise, there wouldn't have been so many people looking for me together. 20 tons of drugs, I burned them all in one go. However, after a pause, the night demon warrior said solemnly, unlike you, I won't kill anyone. Why not kill? The night demon warrior, like in TV dramas, insists on not killing anyone. Chen Yunzhen couldn't understand this kind of pedantic style. In his opinion, for certain scumbags, hell is their best destination. Young man, I share the same idea as you. Dad also spoke up to persuade the night demon hero, Matt, do you know? If you don't kill, then others will never be afraid of you. Dad, this is my persistence. The night demon warrior shook his head and persisted in following his own path. Seeing the night demon hero persist, Chen Yun no longer asked further questions. After all, everyone has their own path. Who is Jean, the most dangerous person in the Hell Kitchen? With the attitude of breaking through the sand pot and asking to the end since he arrived, Chen Yun raised another question. Is it gold? Dad closed his eyes, as if he was lost in memories. After a while, he slowly spoke up and explained, maybe he's a businessman. Or maybe it's a politician. In his words, gangs can now operate like business and politics. With a sigh of relief, the old man continued, maybe I'm getting old. But I feel that Kim is the future leader of the New York gang. Even the world. Chapter 8. New Abilities. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is it the world? Chen Yun didn't expect that his father would be so optimistic about Jean He. For this person who has never met before, he is more like a businessman and politician than a gangster. Chen Yun couldn't help but feel a hint of curiosity, is he a gangster or a businessman? I'm not quite sure, but Matt should know. Dad spread his hands and said he wasn't quite sure. Jean Bing, he's a ruthless gang. The night demon warrior, who was feeling a bit dizzy due to blood loss, suddenly spoke up on the sofa and said, he's my old friend now. Although it's well disguised, there's a bullshit businessman identity. And that disgusting politician's disguise. The night demon hero spat before continuing with a playful expression, if you see Jean Gu, don't have any doubts, he is a complete madman. As he spoke, the night demon warrior's expression was a bit excited, as if he had pulled a wound and let out a low moan of pain. The three of them chatted for a long time. Although it was their first encounter, Chen Yun's ruthless skills and intelligent mind still left a deep impression on the night demon hero and Dad. Not to mention the fact that Chen Yun actually saved the life of the night demon hero. When the wine in the bottle was finished, Chen Yun glanced at Zhao Shiran who had been staring blankly. Seeing that Zhao Shiran had already emerged from her fearful emotions, Chen Yun timely bid farewell. Although Dad and the night demon hero were reluctant to part ways, after all, Chen Yun had also experienced a life and death battle just now and did not stay for long. Chen, my young friend, I hope in the future, you can still come to bars to see me frequently. Take out a few bottles of precious wine, Dad said with a smile. Chen, please hold my dagger. After thinking for a moment, the Night Demon hero pulled out a dagger. The blade of the dagger is embedded with a golden edge, and at the same time, a black gemstone is set on the handle. Solemnly handed the dagger to Qin Yun, and the Night Demon Xia whispered in his ear, "If needed, it can." Taking the item, Qin Yun smiled awkwardly. He didn't have anything on him, in this situation. "Can't we pull out a Franklin, can we?" After some thought, Qin Yun tore off a piece of paper and wrote down his phone number on it. "This is my phone number. If you have any difficulties, you can call me." After bidding farewell to the reluctant couple, Qin Yun sat on Zhao Shiran's second-hand beetle again. "Oh my goodness, you're so cool today." Zhao Shiran, who was driving in silence, suddenly spoke up until the car had already left the boundary of the Hell's Kitchen. She took her hands off the steering wheel and waved her pink fist in mid-air. At the same time, he was still drinking loudly in his mouth, obviously learning Qin Yun's movements and waving them. "You're so handsome. You even killed someone." Speaking of which, Zhao Shiran finally stuck out his tongue and asked in fear, "The police won't be looking for us, will they?" "Don't worry, Dad has already taken care of it." With a smile, Qin Yun explained and glanced at the gold watch in his hand, his heart twitching. The loot picked up from the mine is about to reach 12 o'clock on the clock. Ding, check that in successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining today's ability Luosheng, any gate as expected. When the needle crossed the 12 o'clock position, Qin Yun's system could be reused. Reciting the sign silently in his heart, Qin Yun immediately received today's reward. Luosheng, any gate. Qin Yun is still a bit curious about this unheard-of ability. However, due to Zhao Shiran being by his side and unable to conduct the experiment on the spot, Qin Yun finally held back his excitement and prepared to wait until he returned home for further research. At this moment, it was already 2 o'clock in the morning. "Goodbye, Qin Yun, see you tomorrow." "See you tomorrow." Farewell to Zhao Shiran, who had been yawning long since staying up late driving, and Qin Yun returned to his room. As soon as he entered the room, Qin Yun eagerly opened the system. Luosheng, any gate. You can quickly summon any size, type, and style of modern resident common doors from within a 1-meter range of the host's side. Looking at the explanation of any door, Qin Yun's heart moved. Recalling the door of his current room in his mind, Qin Yun snapped his fingers. In an instant, in front of Qin Yun, a door just like his own door appeared. Touching the door that suddenly appeared in the room, Qin Yun felt a bit speechless. Does this ability seem suitable for opening a door furniture store? Open the door and test locking it with the key again. Everything showed was exactly the same as the door of his room. With a movement of thought, the door seemed like a burst of blue smoke, immediately disappearing in front of Qin Yun. In order to prevent any disturbance that might disturb others, Qin Yun quietly left the door and followed the stairs to the rooftop. Standing on the rooftop with the howling wind, Qin Yun suddenly thought of it. Since it is an unlimited size type, then with a loud bang, a door with thick glass appeared in front of Qin Yun. Touching the thick bulletproof glass that was 1 finger thick, Qin Yun muttered to himself. This thing should be able to block bullets, right? After searching on the rooftop for a while, Qin Yun finally found a fire axe at the staircase. Carrying an axe to the door, Qin Yun took a deep breath. Exhausting all his strength, he fiercely struck the bulletproof door with a fire axe. With a loud bang, a tremendous force came from the axe held by Qin Yun. Qin Yun felt his hands tingling and threw down his axe to look at the glass in front of him. Qin Yun was shocked to find that apart from a shallow mark, there was almost no damage on the glass. Amazing, this must be glass produced in China. With a sigh of admiration, Qin Yun suddenly realized something was wrong. Turning around the bulletproof glass door a few times, Qin Yun slapped his head. Standing next to the door, he forcefully pushed it up. With all his strength, Qin Yun did not move the door at all. After the thick glass bulletproof door disappeared, Chen Yun summoned a simple wooden door again. But it's just such a door that can be blown down by even a gust of wind on weekdays, and Chen Yun can't move it either. In the end, he finally understood the drawbacks of this ability. These doors, once summoned, can only be opened and locked. Unfortunately, no matter which door it is, Chen Yun cannot move it. What is the function of an immovable door? Chen Yun was lost in thought. It seems that furniture stores cannot be opened anymore. With a sigh, Chen Yun started another experiment. Summoning to go out and then canceling the door. Chen Yun had a lot of fun playing. And among them, he really found a bug in a special ability. Although he can only summon one door at the same time, he can summon another door at the moment he jumps up. As his resting place. Can this be considered a legendary lightness skill where one can ascend to heaven by stepping on their left foot and right foot? Standing in the air 10 meters above the roof, Chen Yun whispered in praise. Chapter 9. Inspiration from Peter's exercise. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After tinkering on the rooftop until 4 o'clock in the morning, Chen Yun returned to his room still unsatisfied. As soon as he returned to his room, Chen Yun felt a wave of exhaustion surging throughout his body. In just one short night, he went through a lot of things. Hell's Kitchen, Dad's Bar, First Murder, Night Demon. Having gone through so much, even though Chen Yun is an energetic young man, he is a bit overwhelmed. As soon as he touched the pillow, Chen Yun fell asleep. But when he opened his eyes again, his scalp began to tingle. Looking up at time, I felt even more uncomfortable. He slept soundly until 1 p.m. Get up and wash up as quickly as possible, without worrying about saving money. Just as I left, I stopped a taxi that I had never been willing to take before. Hurry up all the way, and when Chen Yun arrived at the school, he happened to catch the second class in the afternoon. What's even more tragic is that this is a lesson that has always been targeted at his professor in the past. Looking through the glass at the professor lecturing, Chen Yun, who didn't want to be remembered as absent, bravely walked into the classroom. Chen Yun, who was already prepared for the training, stood under the podium for a while. I didn't wait for the expected storm. I quietly looked up at the podium, but only saw the professor with a kind smile on his face. Chen, why don't you go back to your seat? With a smile on his face, the professor stopped caring about the awkward Chen Yun and turned around to continue his lecture. The sudden change in the professor's attitude really puzzled Chen Yun. But since he didn't pursue his lateness, he still breathed a sigh of relief. Finally holding on until the end of this class, Chen Yun's eyes were filled with darkness. Peter appeared in front of him in an instant. Chen, yesterday you must have used Kung Fu, right? Do Easterners know Kung Fu? I'll tell you, I watched an Eastern movie all night yesterday. Your Dongfang people's Kung Fu is really amazing. Before Peter could even stand firm, he would chatter endlessly. Watching Peter continue to speak, Chen Yun quickly spoke up and interrupted him. Not only that, do you know? In our Shu region, every family keeps a giant panda. Chen Yun smiled slightly, diverting Peter's attention. He was too skilled. Seeing Peter caught his attention by his words, Chen Yun continued to speak. In the frontier, everyone has a horse. Even children go to school by horse. In Yunnan, it's even more impressive. They ride elephants to school. Looking at Peter, whose eyes had already begun to blur, Chen Yun suppressed his smile and continued to release harsh information. And the southernmost part of our country, which is the favorite food of Cantonese people. Do you know what it is? It's Hu Jianren. How dare you eat people? Peter's eyes widened to the size of a copper bell, and his face turned red. How dare you eat people? How could you bear it? This is immoral. Peter's appearance made Chen Yun burst into laughter, but he didn't continue to tease Peter and explained with a smile, okay, actually I haven't been there either. I have been staying in Chinatown since I was young. These are all what I saw online. Ha, It scared me to death. Chen Yun's explanation breathed a sigh of relief for Peter. After laughing for a while, Peter finally remembered the purpose of his trip and quickly spoke up, "Chen, teach me kung fu. I also want to be like you, to teach those bullies a lesson." Not only can you teach the bully a lesson in the future, but even some superpowers are not your opponents. After roast in his heart, Chen Yun explained with a wry smile, "This is not kung fu, it's talent. To be honest, I don't know much kung fu. How could you be so skilled?" Peter shook his head in confusion. As a good friend, he naturally believed Chen Yun's words. Facing the bullies in the school, Chen Yun was able to effortlessly bring them down, which was something Peter only dared to dream of. "Is it because of the thing you often play with?" "Parkour, yes, it's parkour." Suddenly, Peter's face lit up with excitement as if he had thought of something. "That's it. I'm also going to practice parkour. Become as strong as you." Looking at Peter's thin arms and legs, Chen Yun smiled bitterly and shook his head. Peter, who has not yet become Spider-Man, goes to learn parkour. In his eyes, it is no different from suicide. Let's start with the basics, for example. Chen Yun thought for a moment and decided to let Peter exercise according to 1/3 of his training volume first. 100 push-ups a day. 100. Peter's face showed a shocked expression. "I can only do 10 at most, and I'll be half tired. It's even better to start exercising from scratch. As long as you persist, your body will gradually become stronger." Chen Yun encouraged the future little spiders while also pondering in his heart. "Since I have obtained the system, should I take action based on it?" With reflection, in the next class, Chen Yun was secretly contemplating his own path ahead. Thinking of the night demon hero he met yesterday, Chen Yun's eyes lit up. Blind in both eyes, relying solely on his strong hearing, the night demon hero can summon wind and rain in the forbidden area of Hell's Kitchen, an ordinary person. Can't one be another night demon warrior with a divine-level perception of oneself? Besides, he also has a system where he gains a new ability every day. Not to mention the night demon hero, doing these things of punishing evil and promoting good can even be more effortless than the future little spider. Moreover, although it cannot be said to be promoting justice. But eating black is simply one of the fastest ways to earn money in this superpower world. The more he thought about it, the more excited Chen Yun became. He suppressed the impulse in his heart and endured it until school was over. Return to the rental house and take advantage of Zhao Xiran's absence. Chen Yunkai quietly slipped into the bathroom and took out a pair of stockings from the beautiful neighbor's laundry change. Struggling to put the stockings on his head, Chen Yun turned his gaze to the mirror in front of him. Looking at the deformed cheeks in the mirror, Chen Yun almost couldn't laugh out loud. "What is this, socks man?" Roast, Chen Yun looked left and right in the mirror. "Finally, I had no choice but to take off my stockings." No matter what he thinks, he doesn't want his future nickname to be pervert. Feeling lost, Chen Yun put the stockings back in place and let out a sigh. Feeling dejected, he returned to his room. Lying in bed, he was originally in a state of low spirits. My gaze was gradually drawn to a poster. On the poster, there is a person gesturing towards the enemy. Wearing an orange jumpsuit. Martial arts master, Bruce Lee. Looking at the poster in front of him, Chen Yun's eyes became increasingly bright. Taking out a few clothes from the wardrobe, he dressed up in front of the mirror. Half an hour later, Chen Yun, dressed up completely, walked out of the rental house. The tall figure quickly disappeared into the darkness. Chapter 10. The Twisted Path to Becoming a Superhero. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Put on your clothes and then put on a hat that can cover most of your face. Chen Yun walked out with great enthusiasm. To his surprise, he wandered all the way from the upper city district to the crime-prone Queens district. Don't talk about criminals, even a petty thief couldn't be found. It cannot be said that there was none, it can only be said that there was no encounter. As he walked through the dark alleys, Chen Yun often heard the sound of police sirens coming from afar. But when he arrived with his legs crossed, there was nothing left except for the chaotic scene. At this meeting, Chen Yun also realized something. Walking alone on two legs and wanting to meet a crime scene is almost like hitting big luck. Why is it so difficult to encounter a criminal? What about the agreed freedom? Where is the agreed scenic line? After wandering around all night but achieving nothing, Chen Yun decided to change his mind. He specifically goes to those dark alleys to search for homeless people. Although these people are at the bottom of society, their long-term experiences of wandering on the streets are definitely more well-known than their own students. Are you crazy? Are you looking for criminals? A middle-aged man lying on the ground with an unnatural blush on his face became Chen Yun's first target. Is there something wrong with your brain? The middle-aged man laughed directly at Chen Yun and even took off his pants. As long as you can satisfy me, I'll tell you. With a lewd smile on his face, the middle-aged man looked at Chen Yun. To greet him, there was nothing but a fist that grew bigger and bigger in sight. After a while, Chen Yun got a name from the middle-aged man with a blue nose and swollen face. Unlucky little Goro. A strange person who will experience robbery or death wherever he goes. Even more so, he was directly praised by positive media as an unlucky person who can only be seen for 100 years. If I had this kind of luck too. Chen Yun still envies this kind of bad luck that others say. If I also have such luck, would I still need to search the world for criminals? Unfortunately, New York is so big. Chen Yun, who couldn't even find a criminal, how could he possibly find this person? He searched for several homeless people in a row, but apart from a few well-known gang groups, Chen Yun only got a few names. There is no useful information at all. Faced with such a situation, Chen Yun had to change his strategy again. I spent $3 to buy a golden necklace and put on the gold watch I got from Brie. When Chen Yun appeared on the street again, he had successfully disguised himself as a nouveau riche wearing gold and silver. Lowering the brim of his hat, Chen Yun circled around the brightly lit road. As expected, under the induction of super perception, he quickly discovered that someone was following him behind. Sensing being tracked, Chen Yun turned around and walked into a small alley. Standing at the end of the street, patiently waiting for the fish caught by oneself. If you don't want to die, just take the F***K, Easterners. The thief who broke into the alley had just pulled out his knife when he looked up and saw Chen Yun's face. Unexpectedly knelt down directly. Kung Fu. Please spare your life. Two broken Chinese words tossed and turned in the thief's mouth, even taking out everything from his pocket. With a speechless expression, Chen Yun took a few bills from the thief's hand, giving him a sudden feeling that he was the robber. With doubts in mind, Chen Yun experimented a few more times. But he was surprised to find that the other party only needed to see their own oriental face clearly. He wouldn't continue to commit the crime at all, instead he ran away with a frightened expression on his face. Until then, Chen Yun suddenly realized. It turns out that it's not that I can't encounter criminals, but my face from the East, I don't know why people are afraid. Stereotypes. After a few more turns, Chen Yun still achieved nothing. After a busy night, I only encountered a towering thief. Chen Yun expressed that he cannot accept it. But after this night, Chen Yun also came to a conclusion. It is not that New York, the evil capital, is not awesome, but how bad it is. It's not like every street has cases happening every moment. If that's the case, there's no need for any superheroes. It's really so lawless. This place has long been taken over by the military. Directly tank-mounted face, output in one go. And, more importantly, superheroes also need logistics and team assistance. Being alone, no matter how powerful. No one cooperated, and no one even provided information about the criminal for themselves. New York is so big, how could it be so coincidental to encounter a crime scene? One more thing, I want to be a superhero. It also needs someone to set it off, if it's not a heinous criminal. Even if we catch 10,000 little thieves like those we just met, there is no sense of achievement at all. Hey! With a long sigh, Chen Yun bought a hot dog as a late-night snack. Prepare to go home, not be a superhero, or go home and sleep comfortably. Just as Chen Yun was eating his hot dog and returning home, he realized that a woman who was staring at him appeared behind him at some point. Before she could react, the woman threw out a booklet. National Land Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau. Chen Yun, the boss wants to see you. Come with me. The sudden invitation left Chen Yun feeling confused. Glancing at the woman who claimed to be from the National Land Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau, Chen Yun responded with a smile, "What if I don't go? We don't do anything unprepared." Faced with Chen Yun's refusal, the woman's expression remained unchanged. "Put the booklet back in your pocket first, and then speak up, if you don't agree. Then we'll knock you down and bring you back." As soon as the words fell, the woman rushed over. Seeing the woman's swift footsteps, Chen Yun's heart tightened. Divine level induction also gave a prompt in an instant. To the right. When the distance is less than 2 meters, the woman leaps forward. The long leg suddenly popped out, aiming at Chen Yun was a kick. Chen Yun also dodged at the moment when the woman attacked, but what he didn't expect was. Although trying to dodge, Chen Yun was still hit on the shoulder by a woman. Covering his shoulders, Chen Yun's face showed a solemn expression. The body instinctively follows the prompts of divine level induction to rotate. But even if his consciousness can keep up, his body hasn't kept up. No, it's not that we can't keep up. But her speed is too fast. Realizing this, Chen Yun was shocked in his heart. This is the first time he has been injured since obtaining divine level induction. With a successful strike, the woman did not attack again, but instead looked at Chen Yun with great interest. At the same time, the woman was also secretly shocked in her heart. I could have subdued with just one strike, but I didn't expect to be dodged. Thinking of this, the woman also put aside her previous attitude of disdain for the other person. Get to know you again, Level 7 Agent. Melinda.